Alright guys, welcome back to this Banlist prediction for the next Banlist. Coming with the next selection pack probably around the 10th of June, and obviously we will receive this Banlist within probably the next week. And it's pretty hard to predict at the moment what Konami will do. We had the Solemn Judgment going to 2, which probably no one saw coming. So I will talk about a few cards here, and as like a data point for my arguments, we will just use untapped GG's popularity and win rate percentages here, because these should be data points that Konami also has. And normally their decisions should be based on something like this. And this is the closest we still have at this point. Then again, I don't know where Solemn Judgment came from, so everything can happen or nothing can happen. You can see right here Bystial, which is Bystial control, where Fiendsmith is at the top right here when it comes to win rate, but at the top when it comes to being played is still Blue Eyes. We have Snake Eyes back somehow at the second place here. It was gone before. We have White Forest. We have obviously Punk, which has received new support. There's also Mermaid Atlantean here with 51.2% win rate. Not a big surprise. It's not the strongest deck, but I think there are some obvious contenders to getting some hits basically, and then I will also talk about some more like niche stuff that I think could happen. So let's start with what I've always talked about, and I will not spend a lot of time talking about the Snake Eyes portion of this. So I'm not quite sure what they will do with Snake Eyes at this point. I am quite convinced that they will just give us Bystial or Malice, one of them, within the next pack, and this will basically replace Snake Eyes because everyone is sick of Snake Eyes. I'm not quite sure whether they will even hit something here anymore. I think there's one card that they will definitely hit, which also hits Snake Eyes, but I was expecting them to hit either Original Sinful Spoils or Snake Eyes from Birch Dragon 2 Forbidden, which would definitely kill the engine. But at this point, my prediction would be that we don't see any of this. We won't see the OSS going to Forbidden. We won't see Snake Eyes from Birch Dragon going to Forbidden, but there will probably be happening something else, which kind of goes together with Bystial. But I'm also interested in your opinion. What is your opinion on my takes here? What is your opinion on Snake Eyes? Are you sick of it? Is it okay? Do you face it often? What do you think will happen to this? And yeah, I was really expecting some hard hits to this, but at this moment I'm guessing that they will just let the deck die off by introducing Malice or Bystial. But the one thing that I think we could see, and which makes a lot of sense, especially when we get Bystial, is Bonfire going to 1. It says limited here, but this is for the TCG. We have it at 2 at the moment. It makes a lot of sense in the TCG. They basically also did this. They put Bonfire to 1 when they introduced 7th Tachyon, the card that we have gotten 2 packs ago, which 7th Tachyon is also a way for Bystial specifically to search their starters. Bonfire was also in the TCG. They obviously did this to basically sell this new card. 7th Tachyon was like 50 euros, or is still 50 euros, and with Bonfire being limited, people needed to replace the Bonfire with a 7th Tachyon, because Bonfire was at 3 in the TCG before and was a good searcher for one of the Bystial starters, or 2 of the Bystial starters basically. As I am expecting Bystial to come in the next pack, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I've talked about my predictions for the next pack in the video that you can find in the top right corner. Go check that out. But as I am expecting Bystial in the next pack, I could definitely see Bonfire going to 1. This will happen at some point. Getting ultra rare points back, that's always nice. And I think this is the Snake Eyes hit that we will see, because obviously in Snake Eyes you still play all the Bonfires that you can. I think this will happen. We don't see the OSS hit, we don't see the Snake Eyes from Birch Dragon hit, but we will see Bonfire going to 1, and this might already happen on this list. I am assuming this will happen on the list, that we will get Bystial within the next pack. This is my prediction, but obviously could also be wrong at this point. So this is what I have to say about the Snake Eyes stuff. So let's talk about Blue Eyes. Let's say you wanted to hit Blue Eyes, which I'm really not convinced of that we will see this happen. It's very popular. It also has a good win percent rate, but I don't really think we will see this happen. I think here's the same logic as with Snake Eyes, that just Malice and Bystial will overtake this a bit, and then the popularity of Blue Eyes will drop. But there are 2 obvious candidates in my opinion. If you wanted to hit the Blue Eyes engine, engine. The first one being a Maiden of White. This could go to 2, this could go to 1, as we have seen in the most recent event, both of which would be very consequential for the deck. I guess 2 would be not that problematic. Maybe this goes to 2, this wouldn't even change that much, but this going to 1 is definitely something big for the deck, because then you can just use a Bystial to get this out of the graveyard, and then your opponent or the Blue Eyes player cannot reset the True Light and cannot use the Maiden every turn to come back via the Blue Eyes summon and make a Spirit Dragon, or just be there as a body, which can summon even more bodies if you target it with Fiendsmith, for example. So Maiden of White is a very strong card, and I think one of the best things that you could do to the Blue Eyes engine if you wanted to is put this to 1. The other option, which nobody wishes for Eyes of Blue, to 1, we have also seen this in the event, or to 2. To 2, honestly, this wouldn't change anything, because you could make an argument for this card being better at 2 than at 3. At 1, this would definitely be worse, since you just want to open it sometimes, and your hand, one of the best hands that you can open is Primal Dragon Ether Barrel as a normal summon, and then Wishes for Eyes of Blue as the Blue Eyes starter in your hand. Basically, this is very optimal, and putting this to, I guess, 1 would be a hit for the deck for sure. But my prediction is, I just want to talk about this because these are the most likely candidates, but I would guess that, same as with Snake Eyes, we won't see a hit to Blue Eyes, honestly. And then what I could see coming back from the list, and I've talked about this when I talked about the best decks that you can invest your ultra rare points into, basically, or your resources into. If you have not seen that video, go check that out. It's one of the last videos on the channel, very informative. I could definitely see either Kashtira Fenrir or Kashtira Unicorn, either this one coming back to 3 because it is a 2 at the moment, or we might get Fenrir back, or maybe even 2 Fenrirs back, which would be nice, because then this engine could be used in a lot of decks once again. It still can, but I think you can definitely free these cards, and this will happen at some point, I would assume. This would also make the pure Kashtira deck better, as you can see right here, as a Kashtira control with like Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos. It is being played right now, but I think at some point we will see the unlimit of Fenrir and Unicorn. This also makes sense because both of them are ultra rares, so if you want to get them, then once again you need to craft ultra rares, which from a resource perspective is nice. I guess when we talk about Konami doing things in the TCG so they can make money with a new set, it's the same here in Master Duel, in the sense that they don't really want to hit ultra rares, and they do want to unhit ultra rares, so that you spend your points on that. Basically the same logic, but with a different resource, money in the real life, and ultra rare crafting points here in Master Duel. So definitely to see the Fenrir or the Unicorn coming back. This was also played as a package in Malice in the beginning, so we always once again see Kashtira. I've talked about this. This is a very good engine. This is something that I could definitely see happen. Not sure which one we would be likely to see. I guess the Unicorn to 3 is less impactful. Fenrir to 3 is definitely something else. And then another card, leaving the Kashtira stuff behind in preparation for the future, might be Gold Sarcophagus going to 1. It's not that long ago that this went to 2, but this is a very good starter for Malice, and I think one of the things that you could do to Malice before it comes out is hit the Gold Sarc to 1. I could definitely also see them hitting some of the Malice base monsters to 2 before we get them, just because we can't really play the Artifact Lands here, which is the best counter to Malice, because we are in a best of 1 format, and if Malice should come this month, I don't think so. I would probably guess Ryziel, then Gold Sarc to 1 is also something we could see happen. And then I guess let's talk about the elephant in the room right here, which is Fiendsmith. The Fiendsmith engine is in a lot of decks right now, and people for some reason are expecting a lot of Fiendsmith hits. I'm not quite sure, but let's talk about what could happen if there are some hits, and they will definitely come, don't get me wrong here. So I guess one of the candidates would be Moon of the Closed Heaven being forbidden. This has been in the game for a while now, because we have received this in Halloween, or at Halloween basically. This could leave the game. Then again, I don't think that Moon at the moment is the big thing, because the decks that you currently play Fiendsmith in, they don't really need the Moon. Obviously, there are some decks that really like Moon, like Memento or Snake Eyes, but other decks don't really need it, especially these control decks that we see right here at the top of the win percentage ladder basically don't really need Moon. So I'm not convinced that we will see something happening to the Moon, but this could be done in order to make Fiendsmith less bridgeable basically, so not every deck could just go from 2 cards into the Fiendsmith engine. Then what I really think we won't see is the Fiendsmith's Lacrima, even though this was forbidden in the TCG. The reason that it was forbidden in the TCG is because this can do 1200 damage quite easily, and in a best of 3 scenario with time being like a concern, this was very unfair, because you could just go first on the last game and then play the timeout basically, or let the time run down with your plays, and then just make one Fiendsmith Lacrima, get it to the graveyard, burn your opponent for 1-2 and win the game from there. This is the reason why this one was hit in the TCG, and I think this is nothing that we will see ever in Master Duel. And then the most obvious candidate for receiving another hit is Fiendsmith Engraver. I'm pretty sure this will happen at some point. I don't think this will happen in this ban list. Maybe in the next one we will have to see. Then again, I don't really think that the Fiendsmith engine is that oppressive, honestly, so I'm not quite sure whether we need it. It's a 2 right now, and at some point I am sure this will go to 1. This is the most obvious candidate, but as I already said, I don't think it will happen right now. It might be, since this card has been out of the shop. We have the Lacrima in the shop, obviously, but this one is out, so we could see this happen, but not quite sure. But if we see something happen, Fiendsmith Engraver will be the target. And then there's another thing that I think could happen. Bystial Druid going as same as in the TCG to limited. The Bystial engine is being used in a lot of decks right now, obviously because a lot of decks are playing Fiendsmith. We have Blue Eyes with a big popularity. This is why Bystials are good right now, and we have the Magnamut already at 1, so the next obvious target would be Druid's Worm to 1, maybe to 2. To 2 would not really change anything, but I don't know, Konami makes strange lists, I guess, so I could definitely see the Druid's Worm going to 1, which I think is a super rare. It is a super rare, which is nice, so you won't get a lot of crafting points back, which makes it once again a very obvious candidate. So I think these cards are the most likely to see some hit or some change on the ban list, even though I've explained my reasoning for all of the cards, and we could definitely see just a small ban list with some stuff coming back and nothing really being hit. Honestly, this is something I could also see, but this really depends on what is coming in the next pack, so it is always very predictive because we don't know right now. Maybe on Monday we know more with new leaks. But now let me know in the comments what you think of my predictions here. What is your opinion? What do you think will happen, and what do you think should happen? I'm very interested. Nice to have you here, and we will see each other in the next one.